My name is Edwin Koo. I have been a photographer for 17 years. I started my career as a photojournalist, and I spent 5 years in the newspapers, after which I actually left Singapore. I went to Nepal to explore a little bit of freelance documentary photography. Fast forward to 2011, I came back to Singapore, and that's when I created my first work called Notes from a Singapore Sun, which is basically based on the general elections. In the midst of making those photographs, I started to grapple with certain emotions that I had, especially with, for example, the notion of home. Whether Singapore was the home that I grew up in, or has it changed?
And we fast forward to 2020 when we commissioned you to shoot for GE2020. It's a totally different kind of elections, wasn't it? Yeah. What struck you most about the difference going into this?
When you talk about campaigning for during elections, one of the main platforms of convincing your audience was using rallies. Without the ability to have mass rallies, it was very interesting for me to be out there to see what kind of instruments or what kind of measures the politicians were using in place of this tool of mass persuasion.
What else was different for you as a photographer?
I remember very clearly one photo which I was following the East Coast team from Workers' Party. When they were having a tea break, then I started noticing that Nicole Seah was actually having a very animated conversation on her phone, and it's like, all right, who is she talking to? And I went closer, I realized that she's just started a Facebook Live.
What I really like about this picture is the fact that you can see Nicole Seah's face without a mask.
Yeah, so I think one of the challenges about this whole elections was really the fact that how do you show emotions when people are all masked up, right? So I think one of the landmarks of COVID-19 election, as I like to call it, is actually the fact that nobody can shake hands anymore, right? So in place of that, the fist bumps.
And elbow bumps too.
Elbow bumps, yeah.
So at least there's some connection.
I think with the fist bumps, what was very interesting was the awkwardness that some people responded with. But at the same time, even if you had a fist bump with somebody, the lack of the ability to tell whether this person supported you or not. Right, because it was not a squeeze, it was not a light touch, it was not a slippery handhold. It was just a fist bump.
And you can't see the face.
You can't see the face, so you can't really tell what you don't have that micro expression.
You know, Edwin, you talked about all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. Yeah, all the preparation, the building of relationship. All that goes on before you're even there taking a shot. And I guess you definitely would have planned a lot of the things that you did here, but I was wondering if anything sort of cropped up along the way. What was surprising for you when you were shooting the GE series?
I think particularly this year in 2020, what was the surprising part was really West Coast GRC, because I never expected people to be that fanatic. Like in a ward which I actually expected to be pretty peaceful. I remember telling my friends, my photographer friends were there, I say, this one is as close to a rally as we will ever get.
And you have a picture here as well. And this is a bit of what you are talking about too, isn't it?
Yeah.
These things can never be planned, but when different parties sort of meet each other, things happen and you capture it.
What was very interesting was the fact of how when they meet, what do they do with each other? The main candidate for West Coast was Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, and in this picture, and he was formerly a PAP cadre, and he would have many friends from the opposite side of the camp. What was really interesting was how the whole idea of having a mask added to that layer of the fact that what you see on the surface is never really what goes on underneath. You can't really read too simply into non-verbal cues, into the gestures. What I invite audience to do is to read the pictures by filtering through their own experience as a Singaporean, their own knowledge as a voter. Don't just swipe it away, like it or don't like it. Dwell on it, linger on it, taste it, and come away with your own interpretation, your own emotional response to it, and make it yours.